everyone, it's Marc Sievers. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So tonight is the night we are celebrating together Ryan and I's 10-year anniversary, 8 years being married, and we are launching my new series Together Live with you right now. So because we are all staying at home and doing our part to not be in large groups, and we can't have dinner parties. And tonight, Ryan and I had a wonderful dinner party planned with some close friends in Chicago, but unfortunately that could not happen. So we decided to turn the tables and literally throw a party and cooking class with you and for you. So this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a new series. You can get all of the information at marksievers.com. And I'm sure a lot of you have all of your ingredients already prepared, or maybe you're just going to pour a glass of wine or a little sip of bubbles while you watch and hopefully learn, get inspired, and maybe make some of these recipes down the road. So on tonight's menu, we're going to make eggs Provencal, which is one of the first brunch dishes Ryan ever made for me when we were first dating way back when. We're going to make an arugula salad with Parmesan dressed in my everyday lemon vinaigrette from my new cookbook, French Omelets, Your New House Meal. And then we're going to finish out with dessert, my brand new recipe. Ryan hasn't even had any yet. It's my French apple and raspberry tart. So I know those lists of ingredients, you could probably tell what we were going to put together, but I kept everything really simple, very familiar, things that weren't hard to find, hopefully. And throughout the evening, if you have questions or need to know about substitutions, ask them in the comments below, and Ryan will let me know, and we'll walk through what you need together. But obviously, we need the other Mr. Sievers, and I think we need some bubbles. Ryan, darling.
Let me bring them for you.
Thank you.
Here you go, sweetheart.
So are you so excited to film tonight?
I'm very excited.
Us together?
Yes.
So, ooh, the good stuff.
Yes.
Thank you. So we're going to open a little bit of Taittinger champagne, and I'm going to give you a little crash course on how to open champagne. I typically love the big pop and the cork flying everywhere, but that's actually not the proper way to open champagne. So what you do is you just start by taking off that little foil cover, and then underneath there's a little cage. You just take the cage off. And perfect. Sometimes I'll save these little cages, and I am going to tonight, and I'll save the cage, I'll save the cork, I'll wire it back up and make it into a little Christmas ornament and put the date on the cork. We have a lot of those on our tree. And this is where my instinct is to go, woo!
It's like the American thing.
Yes.
Like you just pop it.
You just pop it and it goes everywhere, and then it all goes on the floor. Or I want to use my saber, but you said no to that.
Not indoors.
He's taking all of
You can do it on boats, you can do it on patios, you can do it, but not indoors.
Well, did you get a boat? Did you buy me a boat? You did not.
Hubby's prerogative.
Oh, I love hubby's. Oh, is hubby's prerogative still a thing, even in
I think
times of not going out shopping?
We're on hold, mostly because nobody can
So
sell anything.
you just twist very gently. Just twist the cork and twist the bottle, and you're just gonna see if you can hear this.
Ooh, that was perfect.
Thank you. I love Taittinger champagne. For me and for Ryan, it's actually one of our favorites simply because it's not, it doesn't have that acid flavor to it. It's really smooth. It's very, very elegant. And I find that it pairs really perfectly with anything. We've even had dinner parties where we've had wine planned, but everybody was enjoying Taittinger so much that we just kept opening bottles of that. So
That's an American thing too, it seems like. Like we only drink champagne for celebrations.
For celebrations, yeah.
But this is, I mean, and that's one of the things that I like about, especially Taittinger, just because it's a little easier to drink,
Yep.
is you can have it, like if we wanted to start with it and finish with it with dessert, we could. Like you can have it the whole time. Like
Yep.
it's not just for
Well,
celebration.
and you know, this is a little bit of wine course 101 too. Is Taittinger, this is their non-vintage. and they have the highest percentage of Chardonnay grapes in their non-vintage, which makes it so much more elegant, makes it very, very smooth, like I was saying, and something that I think we should drink to now.
Clinky.
Cheers. Happy almost anniversary. It's tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way you get a party started.
Yes, a party of two.
Yes.
Cheers.
Clinky.
Or I guess the puppies
Santé.
don't. Santé. The puppies get nothing.
Not this.
And we've not eaten since lunch, so.
It's going to be awesome in about 5 minutes. We'll just give up on whatever we're cooking and we'll just...
We have questions? I love this.
We don't have questions. We just have people checking in. So Jen says, happy anniversary en français.
Hi, Jen.
And Kiara says meow.
Meow. I love this. Bon anniversaire.
Ah, salute.
Cheers.
Is that how you say it in
Italian?
Italian?
Salute. Oh my goodness, this is going to be fun. This reminds me. Now you've not been with me going to all of these fabulous wine festivals in Aspen and
survive it.
in Nantucket and Newport, and you're going to get a crash course tonight because this is what happens. But it's very bad luck to cheers and not sip, so which is why I was finishing what I was saying to you and you,
Yes.
and not putting my glass down. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
just going to take one last sip. So
Okay, so what's first? What are we doing?
let's get the apple tart, French apple and raspberry tart going, because I want that
Okay.
to bake while we make everything else.
I am
So-
your sous chef. You tell me what to do.
I love this. I have to do the dishes?
I usually do the dishes anyway, just because somebody struggles a little bit with mise en
Well,
place.
maybe I do it on purpose, so I don't have to do it.
It's reminding me of my brother. If you just do a really bad job at taking out the trash, the older brother gets asked to do it.
But I'm
so-
really good at shopping.
Mhm.
Know my strengths. If you could get the puff pastry out of the
Yes.
fridge with the butter, and then also preheat the oven to 400 degrees. There you go. Perfect. I love this. I have a sous chef tonight. This is going to be so fun. So if you guys are cooking along with me, we're going to start the preparation for the French apple and raspberry tart.
And you said what
And-
temperature for the
400 degrees.
400?
Yes. S'il vous plaît.
Okay.
Perfect. And then the sheet pan there. No. The sheet pan. Yeah.
Okay. First giant calamity on camera.
No. Don't jinx us. All right.
There you go.
So
I'm going to come to this side.
the recipe we're going to make tonight is brand new. You've not even tasted my
I
French
know.
apple and raspberry tart.
I'm crazy excited.
Yes, you should be. I think you're going to really like it. So it's a really simple take on a classic French apple tart. And usually you make homemade crust and beautiful pastry dough. But tonight I thought, we're just going to use some frozen puff pastry. And that's it. We're just going to use one sheet. So Ryan, this is what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to take one sheet out. And I'm going to have you put the other sheet into the refrigerator because since tomorrow is our actual anniversary,
We'll save
maybe
this.
I will make you
Ooh.
another treat
That's exciting.
as my little gift. So I have some apples and I have some raspberries. I have 3 Granny Smith apples and I'm going to show you a little, come give me a little overhead view, hon, so I can show everybody at home. So I have 2 apples already peeled, cored, and 1/4 inch sliced. And I'm just going to do another one for you so that you can get a little. So it's really simple to prepare apples. You know what? I'm just going to do it right on here. So I'm just going to peel the apple just lengthwise, just like this. Very simple. And then normally you'd have a cutting board out here, but we don't need a
Do you want me to get you a
we
bowl?
don't need no stinking cutting board. What movie is that from?
My cleaning is kicking in. I'm going to get a little bowl here. I can't help it.
All right, let me get this cutting board really quick. So to core this is the way I core an apple. Instead of using a apple corer, I literally just, for this, just cut right around the core in straight cuts, just like that. And then they have nice flat bottoms to work on, so they're not rolling all over your cutting board. And then I just cut them just like this in 1/4-inch slices, and that's it. That's pretty simple. Now, if you've done these ahead of time, like I have mine in a little bit of water with some lemon juice to kind of help them from browning. But if you're doing this along with me now, see how quick that is? And that's just one apple. So I love that. So, my darling.
Yes.
So now I have a sheet pan lined with a nice piece of parchment paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to take the piece of puff pastry and I'm just going to unroll it right onto, see, you're learning this now tonight too, because you're going to end up making this for me.
But just this once.
Yeah.
You always make this for me.
Yes,
right?
I will.
Okay, here, in here.
Oh, you have a little bowl for me. So I'm not even going to roll this out. I'm really just going to just leave it just like this.
Okay.
And we're going to start with this apple because it's dry. And you can see in the puff pastry, give them a little overhead view here. In the puff pastry, it automatically has these kind of 3 sections because of the fold. So that's a perfect way and little grid for me to follow on this. And all I'm doing is just slightly overlapping the apples.
So what you're doing here
Mm-hmm.
looks really the same as just, like, so we're getting started just the same as you would a normal.
This is the same way I've made apple tarts. This is the same way I've done it for years.
So we're not...
Nothing's changed.
Like
the only difference is, sometimes I'll put them on the diagonal. Sometimes I'll, do one this way, one this way, one this way.
Yep.
I'm just keeping it really simple. And it's about 3 apples, and notice I'm leaving just a little bit of an edge. Not much, but maybe 1/4 inch all the way around. And it's 3 apples is a rough estimate. It depends on how big they are. So we're probably going to end up with a few extra slices of apples. And that's okay. We're just going to save those to snack on. And you can actually leave them in, maybe we'll do a salad tomorrow. That'd be delicious, an apple salad. So if they start to get a little small, now I'm going to reach into my bowl here and just... And I'm going to wipe these. I would strain these to get all the water out, because we don't want to put the water on the puff pastry. All I'm doing.
How far in advance can you do that part?
I did these about an hour in advance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you can do it really ahead of time, which I think makes it really useful.
Do you want a strainer?
No, I'm gonna do it the really tedious way and gently dry.
That's the way I demand all of my apples be treated. So I'm glad that you're adhering to the standard.
I think you have to drink.
Oh.
Cheers.
It got so far away from me.
Darling. Happy almost anniversary.
Yes. 10 years. This is just funny because we dated through food.
We did.
I mean, that's just when people ask, because we met in Seattle.
Yes.
And Marc and I would, I don't know, it was totally unconscious. We weren't like actively trying to do it.
A lot of it was unconscious because we used to have champagne sundaes.
Well, yeah, we did. But we would, instead of going out for dates, I mean, we did go out for dates, but like we did, half of our dates were absolutely at home. I remember when I invited you over to my place
for the very first time. You made me a
this
dinner so rich.
It was so decadent. It was cream on top of cream on top of cream
cheese.
With some cheese and some cream. And
it was very nice.
We started sweating through the middle of it.
Yes. And I decided to go home that night.
It was very romantic, though.
It was.
I just thought...
I can't imagine why I'm 30 pounds heavier from what I met you. 3 cookbooks later.
Some people have kids. Some people write cookbooks.
There you go.
Some people help their husbands test cookbooks.
Yes, this is true. So we're almost done. So we're going to end up with clearly some extra apple slices, but that's okay. We're just going to use them tomorrow. And you can store them right like this into the in water with a little bit of lemon juice. And want a snack? See, and you don't even taste lemon juice.
It just tastes fresh.
It just tastes fresh and keeps them from turning brown.
Yeah. And then now, how long can you leave that in there? So if you said we're going to make a salad tomorrow.
I'm going to put this in the fridge.
Okay.
And it will be perfectly fine.
And you leave it in the water?
Leave it in the water. And then tomorrow morning I'll strain them, pat them dry, and I'll create a salad.
Fabulous.
So looks like a regular apple tart, right?
Yeah.
So far? So yeah, see how beautiful this is and really simple. So now I'm going to take some raspberries, about a cup, and I'm just going to scatter these as organically as my OCD will let me.
They seem like they want to naturally fall into those crevices.
They do. And that's okay. You know, the thing about this, the charm of an apple tart is that the edges kind of get a little burnt because of the butter and the sugar and the juices from the apple. And, you know, it's one of those things that it's made to look rustic, and that's what I love about this. So, here we go.
So we have a happy anniversary from Edinburgh, I think is how you say it, Scotland.
Oh my goodness.
That is from Kim
That's
Wallace.
amazing. Hi, Kim, from Edinburgh, Scotland.
I think it's Edinburgh.
Edinburgh? I'm not good at accents, you know that.
Yes, I
Or
know.
pronunciation, or
Just general English. I make fun
of
of
any
you.
kind.
I make fun of you, but it's not fair.
It is not fair. So now I'm going to take 1/3 of a cup of just regular granulated sugar and give them, look how gorgeous this tart is. And I'm just lightly sprinkling everything. And this, obviously, you can see the edges are going to get burnt, they're going to get caramelized, but it's okay, it's going to be delicious.
That's that French yumminess.
It seems like a lot of sugar, but that's what's going to make it so delicious and caramelized. And
Now, is
There
it
we
always exactly the same amount?
I think, you know, I missed a little edge here. Look at that. See, I'm going to go back and get those edges. I always put the same amount of sugar. This is for one sheet.
So this is a little different than like baking a pie, because I remember like, you know, baking a pie, you kind of gauge what your apples are doing and how juicy they are, and you might adjust, or how sweet or tart, so you might adjust the sugar, but this is really just standard.
Yep. And then I have just 3 tablespoons of French butter, unsalted, and I'm just going to sprinkle this, kind of dice it up, and get this over this gorgeous tart.
We have a question. Could you use other berries?
You could. So you don't want to use anything like grapes or things like that, but you could very easily use blackberries or blueberries. You could probably use strawberries. Strawberries, because of their size, I would probably cut them up and dice them. And
now, does this have to be, you said cold butter, but like, is this like baking, like when you do like pastry dough where it has to be like ice cold, or this is really just not room temperature?
No, so no, you don't want this to come to room temperature, because then the puff pastry won't do its thing and puff up.
Sure.
So for instance, our oven is not preheated yet. We have a slightly slow preheating oven.
It takes its time.
So I'm going to have you give them a little overhead view of this finished, gorgeous tart. See how beautiful this is? I love this. I cannot wait. That's probably too much butter right there. There. See, I'm trying to not make things perfect. So what I want you to do is I'm going to have you put this in the fridge, because we want to keep this nice and cold.
Okay.
We want to keep the butter cold. We want to keep the pastry cold. And put that in the fridge until we hear the little preheated oven beeping away.
The beep.
The lay beep.
Okay.
And I'm going to clean up this little mess. And then, well, I'm going to... There we go. So see, I did this little champagne cork in the cage. I'm just going to leave it on this tray. Another thing, you know, I wanted to, will you take this away?
Yes, you had one more question.
We have questions.
Which
oh my
is,
goodness, look at this.
who
Isn't
makes
this
your
fun?
champagne glasses? You want to tell that story?
These are
Waterford.
These are Waterford. These were a hubby's prerogative for my birthday, I believe, like 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers.
I love hubby's prerogative. Cheers.
Well, so we were going to go to Paris, and Marc turns that into a production. Because it's, how do we take the 100 scarves and whittle it to 50 scarves? And so I realized that it would be far more fun to pack if we had some champagne, and you can't just drink champagne. You know, you have to.
Out of any old ordinary glass.
That's right.
I agree with you.
And so, you know.
We're going to clink again.
Clinky. We're going to. How much
What are we making again?
I don't know. A mess. All right. And I'm taking this away?
You're going to take this away.
Okay.
And you'll notice I have everything organized on this gorgeous tray. So when it comes to entertaining, I don't have the space for a butler's sideboard, things like that. So I usually organize everything on a tray. It kind of keeps everything all pulled together, and it kind of acts as a little staging area. This particular tray is from Cassandra's Kitchen. You can find them online. You can find them on Instagram. And what I love so much about this tray is it's really sturdy. So I can pick this up. But it also, you can't see it here, but it has a tempered glass insert. So I didn't have to go and find a tray and then go to a glass maker and have a tray made. It already came with this gorgeous glass insert, which is why I'm able to set my champagne down. I can have some beautiful flowers. I have our little, give them a little overhead view. I have my serving utensils. So this for me is like my staging area.
So they can see it. There you go.
Look at that. Isn't that great?
Wow.
I have my little towel for when we pour out of this so that we don't get water everywhere. So I love this tray. And this was actually, we've wanted a tray like this for a really long time. And I came across it on Cassandra'sKitchen.com.
It's the glass that makes it just functional, because
It
you
is,
don't
and
have stuff.
You don't have stuff wobbling
Cantilever,
over,
yeah.
right? And you know, living in the middle of the city, I don't really know of glass cutters and things like that because that's not in my world. So I'm very grateful that it came with its own little insert.
And that's not a project we want to do ourselves.
No,
So.
but you know what project is that we are going to do ourselves? We have questions?
One more question.
Yes.
Who's your biggest culinary inspiration?
That is, well, professional. My biggest professional culinary inspiration is Julia Child. I remember watching her as a little boy with my grandmother, and she really is the first person on television that I remember cooking. Her and Jacques Pepin, because they used to cook together, and Yan Can Cook. These were all people that were on PBS. And yeah, I mean, some of her episodes with like big giant whole fish and whole sides of cow and things are a little like, oh, that's not for me because I am a vegetarian. But everything else, we just watched her the other night, and because the PBS app has right now all of her episodes and every single season.
Yeah, it's like through Amazon Prime.
Yep,
and then,
on available. And I watched her make a strawberry souffle, and I've never made one before. So next week I'm going to practice. So yeah, my biggest professional culinary inspiration was Julia Child, and then my biggest culinary inspiration, kind of on like the non-professional side, was Nan. Yeah. Nan, she was amazing.
That's sweet.
My entire family, we all have a Nan. She was my grandmother. Everybody in my family learned so much from her, which I'm sure you guys have somebody like that. You had the same.
Well, and I think that's too how it had so much in common from the very beginning. Marc had, he really had, there were two things. It was your handwriting.
Which I learned from Nan.
When he wrote his phone number.
You're giving away that I gave you my number?
Well, at some point a number was exchanged.
Yes,
And when I looked at it.
Because I was sober and he was not.
I was just going to say when I looked at it sober, that I remember your penmanship, and I just remember that, just a subconscious thought of like somebody who writes that nicely has a grandmother in their life, and it just was a feeling. It was when I saw that, and then when we were kind of dating through food, I realized that like there was some love in your family. And I know I had it in mine, and it was just us coming together.
Do you remember that giant chocolate cake I made for the two of us? I think so. I wanted to impress Ryan because he was not very confident in his baking ability. So when we lived in Seattle, we lived not very far from Pike Place Market, and the original #1 Sur La Table store was right down the street from us. So I said to Ryan, I said, let's go shopping. Nothing has changed.
Nope.
Nothing has changed. And I said, let's go get all of these. You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this. And at that point, I was kind of like basically informally living with Ryan. And
it's a whole nother story.
That's a whole other story. Yeah. Let's see how much champagne we get.
Right. Wait till dinner.
Wait till dinner. And I walked to Sur La Table, bought all of this stuff, came back, and I made like a 5-layer chocolate cake that was like over a foot tall. Yeah. And in like the afternoon, and Ryan was just standing at the island like
mesmerized. Because the bowl for the icing, it was the KitchenAid mixer bowl. I've never seen it full to the top to the point where you just saw the stick of the mixer go in. You couldn't actually see the paddle. It was unbelievable. We tried to eat it. It was. I think we got
a really good job. I remember one day that when I did go back to my sad apartment, and alone, cold. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no, that's again.
No, you're not.
Another
but
time.
Whatever.
We should do a champagne chat and figure out later on another night. Get everybody and share stories of how everybody met. Either their best friend or their spouse or their partner or something. Yeah. You guys, if you want to do that, let us know in the comments. And I think that'd be actually really funny. But I brought a piece back to my apartment. Cheers. See? I brought a piece back to my apartment, and I remember eating it. And I sent you a photo of like, look what I'm having for lunch. And then he texted the exact same photo or a similar photo and was like, oh, I brought some to work too. But he didn't tell me that he brought the rest of the cake to work. And I was like, well, that's not how this was supposed to go.
Well, there was no way we were going to eat it all. So
never say never, darling.
Before we head to the next thing.
Yes. Do we have questions? Has our oven, let me check our oven to see if it's preheated.
Christine says chocolate cake is the best.
Yes, I agree.
And Kim was very sweet to say that we're lovely together, which
thanks,
very,
Kim.
very sweet.
I can't believe it's been 10 years. So the March 29th, just so we are making this official, March 29th was actually our first date,
right? Which
is tomorrow. And we also chose to get married on that date. So we've been together for 10 years as of tomorrow. Married 8 years as of tomorrow. And our first date was, we figured this out last night on the sofa. We were watching Julie Child. We watched, what was she making last night? Oh, chocolate mousse.
Yeah.
Oh, she's making chocolate mousse, and now all we want is chocolate mousse.
Right. So wait till next week.
Yeah, next week I'll be making chocolate mousse.
I literally woke up and I'm like, chocolate mousse? And he's like, I know, I'm going to recipe.
And I'm wanting chocolate mousse and french fries.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's like a Wendy's Frosty thing.
Yeah, and you dip them in. Oh, for sure. But we realized that our first date, or the first time that we met, the night, was March 26th.
Yes.
So, and, you know, being a same-sex couple, we didn't get... What?
Oh, my God. This whole time?
This whole time?
Oh, God. Okay.
The champagne.
Thanks, Tat and Jay.
Yeah. So one of the funny things about our kind of this whole courting thing is, I always say I've been married to the same man 3 times, but only one set of jewelry, because the first time we got married was actually just a domestic partnership.
Right.
Then we got married like a year or two later for very romantic tax reasons
breaks.
in his home state of Iowa with his parents.
Yes.
And then our original domestic partnership turned into a marriage in Illinois. And so I've been married to the same man 3 times with no, well, no, I did get a jewelry upgrade.
I was like, what?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Careful.
How about this?
Okay.
I was going to show them how to do some flowers.
Okay.
But why don't you show them how to do flowers? Do you think
can
you
do
could
that.
do that? Okay. So
I'll go get.
in the list of instructions at togetherlive at marksievers.com, I listed 12 stems of any flower of your choice. So I've chosen already, I already did some little simple vintage bottles with little stems, and that's one way to use flowers that's really simple. But I think, oh, my oven's preheated.
Woohoo. So these.
Yeah, gorgeous orange roses are my signature.
Yes.
I love them. And why don't you get the
You
short
want
little, my favorite vase in the cabinet? Yeah, get that one.
Is this the one?
Yeah, this is the one. So I'm going to give you the scissors or the flower shears
Shrinkle.
and entertain them for a minute. Maybe refill my champagne. I'm going to go put the tart into the oven for 40 minutes, and then I'm going to start to look at it. So if your oven is preheated, your tart's in the fridge, take it out. Let's put them in the oven, and let's set the timer for 40 minutes, and I'm also going to get you some water.
Okay. And what we're going to do here is the ball, correct? Like
yeah, we're
just
going to do a flower cluster.
Flower cluster
Yeah.
is what you call it? Is officially a flower cluster?
Well, you know, that's what I call it because it's a perfect size for entertaining because you can make so many of them down the center of your table and you can see over them. Now, if you don't like your dinner guests, make giant tall arrangements and build a fence.
Yeah.
But I love you and I would like to see you during dinner.
Thank you, honey. So I'm going to try to follow Mark's direction here because it's been a little while since I've done this. But you clean up the stem and get my little shears to work here. And then essentially what we're going to do is we want these to be, babe, help me, start me with the first one. I'm gonna take this down to about here.
Nope, so
No?
you want to do it. You were starting to, I was like, he has listened before. So you want to get the first one and you want them to be just above. So now you're going to cut.
Oh, that short.
Yeah, you want them pretty short.
Okay, so right about here.
Yep.
And then you cut them at a diagonal.
Yep. And then all you do, and then this is how you test it. You lay it in and see if it just touches. Oh, that's a little short.
A little short.
That's
Okay.
okay. I'll put it in here. See, this is trial and error.
All right.
So-
So if I'm kind of going this way,
Yeah.
then what are we doing?
Probably that's good. So
About
that's
there?
perfect. See how the bud is resting just on the rim?
Yep.
So that's all you have to do. So now you just keep adding them in.
Okay.
And until you get about 12 of them.
So I'm going to use this as my little template.
Yep, use that as your template, exactly.
Cool. And then, and it is right to pull all of this off, correct?
It is right, because you don't want
don't
any
want
of the foliage
in the
water, because that promotes bacteria, and bacteria in flower water will make them die.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 12 that I like,
Okay.
get them cleaned up.
Do you want to give them an overhead?
That's a great idea. And then you take this.
I'm going
So
to
I don't
refill
wanna-
for us.
Ooh. There you go. Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I need 12, correct?
You need 12, yeah.
Okay. So
It's going to be a very... Now, if you have 12 and you don't have a single vase, like I said, you can use little bottles, you can put little juice glasses, you can do anything that holds water. But I think I'm excited to watch you. I'm going to switch sides with you.
okay.
And I'm going to...
You play with all the devices.
I
Check,
don't-
why don't
you
you
don't
check
want
to
me
see
to-
who's saying
Oh,
what?
I'll say, you and I met over Tatchinge Rosé. Yes, we did, Kiara.
Oh, that's so sweet.
We did.
Oh, Kiara.
Yes. Oh, that is sweet. Kevin Dickey loves Cassandra's Kitchen. I completely agree. 3 times the charm. A ring from France. Yes, Christine, you are correct. So, one of our last trips to Paris, Ryan did surprise me with a beautiful new wedding band that I saw originally in a window, and
In Paris.
In Paris, and we went to go in. He surprised me and took me in to go look at rings.
Well, you saw the ring in the window, and I thought, we're in Paris. Of course, we're going to go in and just look.
And I tried it on, and it didn't fit me. And the jeweler was very sweet and said he could have it made in my size, but he would have to ship it to us. And I said,
Well, no, he said he could have it made, but it would take a few days beyond, and so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to leave Paris without the ring. Are you counting?
Yes. No, you just missed me up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So, I said, when we come back later on this year, we'll call ahead and we'll figure it out. Well, we didn't end up coming back together for almost 2 years because Ryan unfortunately got cancer. And after he was recovered, we went back to Paris with my cousin and her husband and Ryan and I. And we walked by the same jeweler and the same ring was in the window. And I said, oh my God, remember that ring? And he said, well, we should come inside and try it on. And when we walked into the jeweler, they had a bottle of champagne waiting and a ring on a silver platter. And then I lost my brain and cried at the jewelry store. And that's how my upgrade happened. Good story.
That is a good story.
Yes. Again, hubby's prerogative.
All right, so I've got my 12 chosen.
Okay, perfect.
And I am now just kind of going one by one just to make sure they all fit. And I am creating a bit of a...
Put more of up here so they can see. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
And then just kind of building a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a... Pull this guy up a little bit.
Yep.
These are kind of full because you left these out overnight.
So I bought these flowers yesterday, and what I did was I got them home from the grocery store. I immediately cut the stems about 3 inches shorter, and I plunged the stems into some nice hot water. And I did that over the 24-hour period about 3 times. I changed the water to hot water. I recut them a little bit the second and third time. That's perfect, yeah.
So now that I know that I'm kind of headed in the right direction, I'll
Yep.
finish up these last few.
You do watch the videos of me that you edit.
I really do. You do such an amazing job at things, and
You're so sweet.
there are, it's one of those things where there's some things that I love it when Marc does it. I wouldn't probably do it personally for myself necessarily because I know Marc will do it for me, but sometimes then when I don't have Marc here, like when you're traveling for clients or
I'm with Chiara.
You're with Chiara,
Everywhere.
Exactly.
Look how beautiful. You did a good job.
Thank you. I think this guy needs to be just a touch.
Yep. You do surprise me with flowers, though.
Well, and so that's the thing, is when you travel, so there we go.
Look at how gorgeous you did.
Hey,
Here,
voila.
there's one left.
Can I take your... Oh, a lucky
baker's
dozen.
Because I did buy 2 dozen because I wanted some flowers for tomorrow. But let's look at how beautiful you did. Good job, darling.
Look at that.
Wow. So now I'm just going to give you, yep, I was going to say. So do a little zhuzh, just like that. And et voila, the perfect flower cluster.
Sorry.
No.
There we go. But that was the point of what I was saying is that, look at that.
Nice job.
Beautiful.
Very nice job.
But
I
I know how much flowers mean to you.
Yes.
And it really does change everything. It's
Yes.
just that little pop of
Yes.
color that actually is bigger than the sum of its parts. And so when Marc would travel, I wanted to make sure that he would come back to something. So I had to learn because, if it was substandard, it would not be okay for many reasons.
Are you calling me picky?
No, darling.
I'm the most easygoing person ever. You cheers to that.
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you for making flowers.
My pleasure. Where do you want these now?
I think
I'll move this.
let's move that. Let's take these shears away. So now we have flowers for our dinner. That was nice and easy. So if you guys did this arrangement or another arrangement or used other vessels, let me know. Post your photos on Instagram. Tag me. I would love to see what you guys did with your flowers tonight. But, I mean, as you can see, that came together really quick. And, again, when you have one of these or multiple of these down the center of a table, it's the perfect height. I'm going to show you how I judge my flowers for entertaining. I put my elbow on the table, and as long as they are shorter than my wrist, that seems to be the perfect height. It always kind of gives a nice horizon line, and you did a great job.
Thank you, honey.
You smell the apple?
I do, actually, I really
Doesn't
do.
that
smells
smell good?
amazing.
So let's put these off to the side, and I
Okay.
think I'm going to make the lemon vinaigrette. Will
Perfect.
you kind of
I'll look
run
to see
everything?
who's saying
So
what.
let me go get everything for the lemon vinaigrette.
Okay.
Oh my God, this smells so delicious.
Here, we'll follow you in the kitchen for a second. Oh, you're already back.
I'm already back. I'm quick.
Look at that.
So we're going to make a lemon vinaigrette for...
I don't know whose is whose, so I'm just going to drink it.
Well, here, you take the fuller one. See how kind I am?
No, you have a plan. You're trying to get me drunk. That's fine.
So let's make my everyday lemon vinaigrette from my cookbook French Omelets, Une House Meal. I think this will be delicious. And I chose this vinaigrette versus other vinaigrettes that I do keep in my repertoire because we're going to pair this with an arugula salad and Parmesan cheese on top of the eggs Provencal, and that's going to be really, really delicious. So,
The question is, are we making our favorite meal? Like, what's the inspiration of?
oh, so so this particular, let's see, this particular meal of scrambled eggs is actually a scene from, I think, our all-time favorite movie.
Like romantic. Yeah.
movie, Something's Gotta Give. I grew up in New England and like worshiping the beach. I love the beach. I love everything about the beach. I love beach culture, beach life, beach style. It really is like in my blood. And when we first started dating, we watched that movie. And by the way,
Well, we both loved the movie separately.
we did, yes.
Which is another one of those things that when it came
Yes.
together was like
And
amazing.
if you are at home, obviously we can't play music right now because of, legal issues and all these other things.
Blah, blah, blah.
But blah, blah, blah. These, bore someone else with these questions. But if you are at home, try to find the Something's Gotta Give soundtrack.
Yes.
That is, hands down, the best soundtrack of any movie, of any soundtrack I've ever heard.
Yep.
It's actually, I listen to that soundtrack at least once a day, and sometimes on repeat from the time I wake up
Yeah.
to the time I go to sleep, because it is so comforting and so calming and so chic and so happy.
It's a little French. It's a
just
little
a little
bit of
everything.
everything.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good music.
More
What were we
questions?
doing? Beach culture. We definitely have a thumbs up to that.
Yay.
We
love beach culture.
Okay, so we're doing the vinaigrette.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I was busy. So we're going to make vinaigrette. And
I love this recipe because I love what it took for you to invent it, which was just a lot of research in Paris.
yeah, so that was the
And-
French bistro one. This is the lemon one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
This is the adaptation.
This is
Okay.
the adaptation. So I've tried a lot of lemon vinaigrettes out there. Some were too kind of bland. Some were too kind of tart. And I say in a lot of other videos that honey is my secret ingredient in both savory and sweet recipes. And this is
me, right?
Oh, I do mean you. Yes. Honey bunny. No, honey bunny.
Oh, honey bunny.
But honey is my secret ingredient for both savory and sweet recipes. So let me show you how I make my lemon vinaigrette. Why don't we give them a little overhead view?
I think it's amazing how much you use honey, and it's such a powerful
Yes.
ingredient, and it's really underestimated.
It is underestimated. So obviously I have everything kind of organized on this little sheet pan. But what we're going to do is I'm going to make everything in just a little canning jar so that way there, when it's all in here, I can shake it up and blend it, and it will be perfect. So I'm going to start with some lemon zest, and I need about 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. And I'm doing it with my little rasp or microplane right over the jar, because when you do this at home, you will notice all of the essential oil from that bright, beautiful lemon skin and rind is where all of that flavor is. So this is going to get all of those essential oils into the jar versus onto my countertop. It doesn't have to be perfect. About 2 teaspoons I find is one really good big lemon.
Did I miss why we're doing this into a jar?
Because instead of having to slowly dribble in the olive oil, we're going to just shake it all together, and that will create then that will automatically make it emulsify with the mustard, and then it will become this beautiful thick lemon vinaigrette.
It's like a one-tool deal.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about 2 teaspoons. Clean the back with my little Clean the back with my little measuring cup. Okay, so now we need, can you get me a knife?
Yeah.
So now we're going to do some honey.
What kind of a knife?
Just a regular sharp knife. So we're going to do about 4 teaspoons of honey. 1, 2, 3.
Like a dice?
4. Perfect. 4 teaspoons of honey. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. And some lemon juice. I need about a half a cup of lemon juice. So let me get my little measure here. This will be perfect. And making vinaigrettes, I think people think are really complicated, and it's not. It's actually fairly easy. But you just have to get your measurements right, and really they come together quite quick. So notice I don't have any fancy dandy equipment. I'm just using this little lemon squeezer from the grocery store. You can also use a little wooden one, or you have one of those old-fashioned ones.
I just love how fresh that smells.
I know, doesn't it smell so good?
There's nothing like freshly squeezed lemon juice. Like the stuff in the bottle just doesn't cut it.
No. So that's about a half a cup of lemon juice. And then I need a half a cup of olive oil. And then to give this really, really delicious flavor, I'm going to put in about 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. This is the smooth kind. And a half. So, I mean, this is pretty easy. And then I'm going to put on the lid here.
And if this were Julia Child's show,
yes,
it would go everywhere at this point. We were watching a show just the other day. She was shaking something, and it literally went everywhere.
Make sure that the lid of your jar is on nice and tight. And then you just shake it for about 60 seconds really vigorously. And what this is doing is that mustard in there is going to create the emulsification with the olive oil, and it's going to make this really gorgeous dressing.
Christine says she just started to like mustard.
Really?
Yes.
You know, I never liked that yellow stuff as a kid. I still really don't. I like Dijon mustard because it has a little bit of wine in it. It has a little bit more body and a little bit more kind of like roundness.
When we went to Paris the first time, we went to the Mal store.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I fell in love with Dijon mustard, because in the United States, there's other brands that I thought were way too hot or way too vinegary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what I thought it was. And then when we tried this brand, and even just simple brands, you know, that restaurants make or whatever in like Parisian cafes, that's when I realized kind of how the breadth and depth that you could have with mustards.
A lot of people, and can we give them a little overhead?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I hope you guys can see this. It's a little hard,
go up.
but I'm going to go, can I do that? Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, there you go.
So one of the things is you'll notice, oh, there we go. Sorry, everybody. So one of the things that you'll notice is it will have in one of the corners, it will say hot. This one does not. So when you're buying Dijon mustard, you really want to make sure that it doesn't say hot in the corner for this application. Hot mustard with a cheese plate is Fabulous. So this is, I'd say that's about 60 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I'll have you do
Okay.
is put that in the fridge.
Okay.
Let that kind of solidify a little bit. And I'm going to clean up this. Oh my God. If you guys are making, I don't know how many of you are cooking along
That tart
with
smells so
us, but if you, right about now, the tart is starting to smell absolutely incredible.
So good.
Right? So I think we can get started on eggs.
Are we there?
Yeah. I mean, how long have we been filming for?
I forget where the data is. Hold on. I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
I think we're ready for eggs. You guys ready for eggs?
We've been at it for 51 minutes.
That's perfect.
Or something near there.
Does anybody have any questions before we move on to making eggs Provencal? Let's see.
Good mustard with good olive oil.
Mhm.
Yes.
Kevin, absolutely. Kevin, and I want to tell you, my favorite olive oil of all times is this extra virgin olive oil cold pressed from Trader Joe's.
Yep.
It's like $8 a bottle. And this has been my favorite go-to olive oil for probably 10 years. I do keep a few other olive oils on hand, but this is the one that I use for cooking, both sweet and savory, for dipping, and for drizzling. I love this olive oil. It just always seems to be the right fit for every recipe or application. So
It's not too grassy and
No.
almost, where you get almost that like
bare,
burn.
yeah.
But it's also, it has flavor. It's not
Right.
the other side. Good to know for Trader
Gordon
Joe's.
Grotto eggs.
Yay.
Yes, we love
and
eggs.
cheese.
Mustard and cheese.
Thumbs
All right,
up.
so I think we can move on to some eggs.
Okay.
So why don't you, because you're stronger than me, if you would carry that tray into the kitchen.
Please.
And I think, wow,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
I should probably refill the champagne
Oh,
because
Yep.
obviously I cannot cook without
libations.
libation. So a little bit more Taittinger.
And I'm in support of the chef.
You
so-
are, this is why it's been 10 years and it's been so amazing because you never say no. And you are
Just that one time.
And you are, yes, but we've talked about that. And we said it would never happen again. I don't like that word. Cheers, honey.
Oh, that's funny.
This is fun cooking
This is
together,
fun. I love it.
right? I feel like you're doing a great job too. Oh, I'm supposed to be cooking.
No,
Okay.
you're supposed to be drinking.
Oh,
we,
sorry.
We clinkied.
The French apple
Okay.
and raspberry tart smells so good.
So are we headed into the kitchen?
Let's head into the kitchen. Do you want to bring the?
I will continue to monitor. I'll set this up here. So if you guys continue with the questions, and I will hover.
You're gonna hover? Okay, cool.
Or is there anything I
Well,
can do?
No, I'm just trying to figure out where to
You can
put
set
my
it up there.
champagne. I'm gonna put my champagne up on my little shelf here.
Yeah, that's out of the view.
That's out of it is out of view. I'm so sorry, but we're gonna
Well, now
get.
when we do an overhead.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we need. What I could have you do is why don't you go and kind of set? Why don't you go out there and set the table?
Okay.
Let's eat at the island.
Okay.
That way, we don't have to move everything.
Can you give me a rag?
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get started with eggs Provencal. So this recipe really is about taking just a handful of ingredients and making them absolutely delicious. And it's going to start with some onions. So let's give them a little overhead view of the onions. So I didn't do the onion beforehand because I wanted to give everybody a little kind of peek of how to cut onions. And we're going to do this, I'm going to say 1/4-inch dice. So what I'm going to start with is cutting this in half and then wiping off the board of any excess skins that fall off, and then flat side down and get right at that little kind of top end there, cut that off, and then I like to I first peel the first skin off just like this, and then sometimes you'll notice that this outside skin can be a little tough. This looks nice and fresh, so that's going to be perfect. take my hand, put it right onto the top of the onion and press down. Take a really sharp knife, hold it just like this with my thumb and pointer finger, Ryan. Index finger. Uh-oh, bubbles are kicking in. And I'm gonna basically slice through the onion this way. And as I'm slicing, I'm gonna move the knife forward. So you'll see it, you're just gonna get the most perfect slices here. As you can see, I'm trying to get my hand out of the way so you can see that. And then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to make another cut going the other way. And this is how you dice an onion really quick and pretty uniformly. So we've done this way, we've done this way, and now comes the final cut, which dices them, just like this. So this is, I'm going to say, about 1/4 of an inch. And I usually don't cut too much toward the end. I save this for vegetable stock. So I have a great recipe on my website for scrappy vegetable stock, and that's exactly where all of these extra little tidbits go. I put them into a freezer bag, and then at the end of it, I have, once that gallon freezer bag is full, I have beautiful vegetable stock. So I'm just going to peel this again. This is the other one. This is one medium onion. And
do you have a favorite type of kitchen knife?
My favorite type of kitchen knife is Wusthof, and I like their Santoku knives. This is I think this is my, oh goodness, 14 centimeter. My favorite, most used kitchen knife is the Santoku Wusthof. And where is it? I don't know where it is.
Oh, it's in the sink.
Oh, it's in the sink? Oh, here it is. My favorite knife is the Wusthof Classic 17 centimeter. That's the one that I use almost every day for every application. I'm using this smaller one. Sometimes this smaller one is good for smaller things, like maybe cutting berries or carrots or things like that. But get yourself a really good knife. I'm not a believer in multiple kitchen knives and lots of kitchen equipment. I really just think a good cutting board and a really good knife.
I mean, you have more than one knife, though.
I do have more than one knife, but I don't have many. I have a serrated knife, a Santoku in 2 sizes, and a couple little paring knives, and that's really it.
So you really mean just keep it focused on what you need.
Yes, exactly. So now I'm going to do medium-low heat, and I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of olive oil in this. And Ryan, if you could hand me the chicken with the eggs, literally.
Oh, I was like, the what? Like, I've never ever heard you say that.
So I'm going to get my eggs together here. So I have this great basket, this little chicken basket. I'm sure you guys have seen it in the back in videos. And this is what I keep my eggs in. I keep my eggs at room temperature right from the grocery store. And I do that because I find that room temperature eggs are, for me, they're little hermetically sealed packages. And I know that I've purchased really good quality eggs. And it's a perfect way of keeping them at room temperature because they do actually cook better. They taste better, and you can bake with them in a moment's notice. So this is 12 eggs. Tonight's meal will feed around 6 people. And what I'm going to do with any leftover scrambled eggs is I'm going to save them in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow I'll warm them up and maybe put them into like a beautiful little tortilla or something and have a little breakfast sandwich. And that's a great way of...
So,
reusing leftover scrambled eggs.
darling, how many days do the eggs last?
So I go through my eggs at room temperature, and I think we keep our house around between 65 degrees and between 65 and 70 degrees. I don't put them into the sun, and I keep them at room temperature for about a week, sometimes even 2. And if you're going to store them at room temperature, I do look at every egg before I put it into my little chicken basket here, because I want to make sure there's no cracks or ways of air kind of seeping into them to make them literally a bad egg.
And the funny thing about eggs, too, is you can actually smell a bad egg.
Yes, you can.
You just smell them.
I've only gotten a bad egg twice in my entire life, and I was mortified. I was actually scared. I'm going to look at my little...
Yeah, I do recall that I had to throw it away.
Yes.
And that was the thing.
And this is how you beat eggs. I just use a fork. You can use a whisk. Should your child use chopsticks? But there's a trick about beating eggs. And I'm going to stop right here, because if you take your whisk or your fork and you pull up and through them just like this, and you feel resistance, that means that the egg whites and the yolks are not fully blended and incorporated. So you have to keep beating until you can pull up your fork and not get any resistance. A little bit more. So the oil is getting nice and hot. And that's perfect. Et voila, perfectly beaten eggs. So let's give them a little overhead view of what is going on now. So my oil's nice and warm, and I'm going to put all my onions in. Turn that heat up a little bit. I'm using a cast iron brazier tonight. You can use a saute pan, but the important part, and I'll show you the size, because I feel like this is it's about 12 inches in diameter, and the base is about 10 inches. So I like this size pan simply because it always, I feel like it always gives me a lot of surface for sauteing. Things actually saute and not just steam. And then I'm going to add some butter. So I have 2 tablespoons of French unsalted butter. You can use Irish butter, European style butter, but you want to use really good butter. And again, I told you guys I love the beach. I have these big, beautiful clamshells from, actually from Nantucket, my last trip to Nantucket. And I use them by the sink in the bathroom for, if guests want to take off their rings while they wash their hands. I use them in the kitchen to hold butter sometimes. I serve things in them. I've even done like a little watermelon salad in them. It's really, really pretty. So,
darling, you have a very New England question.
Very New England question.
What are the cream and orange things hanging on the wall in your kitchen?
These are buoys. So they're not actual used buoys. They are decorative. But I found them in a great little design shop when I was home in Methuen, Massachusetts, maybe 2 years ago. And it took me a lot of convincing to the TSA people to let me get them through on my carry-on, but I did.
That was an interesting phone call.
Yes, it was an interesting phone call. And then to this, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of sea salt. 2 teaspoons of salt. And 3 teaspoons of pepper. I like eggs very peppery.
How do you know if the oil is the right temperature?
So you'll know that the oil is the right temperature. This is for sauteing. When it starts to kind of glisten a little bit, you can also put the end of your wooden spoon into the oil, and if you see little bubbles, that's also a great indicator. Or you can just simply put a piece of an onion in. If it starts to sizzle and kind of make some noise, that means your oil's ready to be used. So This is so delicious. And then to this, I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of freshly minced thyme and 2 tablespoons of freshly finely minced rosemary. That will give these eggs some flavor. And oh, as soon as those herbs hit the butter and the olive oil and the onions, your house is going to smell absolutely amazing. How are you doing out there with setting the table?
I'm doing well.
Wow, you are doing nice.
I think I have it.
Okay. Why don't you come join me in here? Do we have silverware?
We have silverware.
Good.
So we're not doing this with
First
our hands.
step.
Oh, we had a little quick cameo with Gigi on camera, by the way. She was crawling around your feet, so she...
Gigi?
Yeah.
Gigi is the eternally hopeful little puppy who thinks everything should be hers, including all of this food. Can you smell that tart?
It
smells so delicious.
So this is my favorite point in the cooking process because it is the magical coming together of all of the smells.
Mm-hmm.
You have the tart going on. I can smell the thyme and what's happening with the eggs, and you don't even have the eggs in yet.
No, nothing.
This is adorable.
Yes. So the idea for the onions is that I really don't want them to take on any color. I just want them to get nice and tender and translucent. Anywhere between 5, 7, 8 minutes is pretty good.
Now I have the table set.
Yes. Do you want to give them a little overhead view?
I will. Am I doing anything with wine?
Oh, you know what? Maybe, let's see.
I know we're on this, but...
Why don't you open up some white Burgundy?
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
I will do that. I have this, where did my little gadget go? To save the tangy, because we're not going to drink it all, so I don't want to...
Well, we're going to drink it later. You can just put it, it'll last in the fridge corked for as much time as we need, I'm sure. But you mean you could just top me off a little bit.
Splash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be parched.
No. Sure. Okay, so you said a white Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. How do you have that?
Careful, you're on camera, remember. So white Burgundy is another kind of Sievers staple for us in this house because I find that white Burgundies always, again, like Taittinger champagne, a white Burgundy always seems to be in style. It's always the perfect pairing, savory again, sweet. We eat all vegetarian in this house, and I've never served a white Burgundy with a meal that was never perfectly paired. So why don't we open up, you're stirring my pot? We talked about that. So what are we opening for white Burgundy? Which one did you choose? Did you? No, you got the right one. Yeah, oh, you got the one in the front? That's the one. Okay, you did choose the right one. Yep. Perfect. Yes. So, white Burgundies are one of those, like, magical wines, like I was saying, that really does just pair with so many different things. And the one that we're going to open is from Louis Jadot. Again, I love a really beautiful, elegant white Burgundy, and the price point is anywhere between $14 and $18 in the grocery store. And I love that I can go to a grocery store and get everything I need for ingredients-wise, flowers, and a beautiful French white Burgundy. So these onions are looking perfect. So you can see, don't they smell good? So why don't you give them a little overhead view? So these are perfectly cooked. So now I'm going to turn down the heat. Actually, first I'm going to add some garlic. I've got 6 big cloves of garlic. Garlic burns really easily. So you just want to cook it for 30 seconds to a minute, but keep your eye on it. Oh, that smells so good. And then we're going to get ready to add the eggs. So before I add the eggs, I'm going to turn the heat down to medium-low. And with scrambled eggs, to get the most beautiful scrambled eggs, you want to cook them low and slow. And I'm changing to a rubber spatula. And I'm just going to pour in these eggs, just like this, into all of those onions and herbs. And immediately, just start incorporating them into the onions, pushing the onions around, pushing the spatula. And the idea is that you just want to keep them moving. And all I'm doing is just scraping the bottom, just like this, going around. And this is how you get beautifully scrambled tender eggs. Of course, it's not going to hurt that we're going to pile in a cup of mozzarella cheese. But see how quickly these are coming together? I mean, they're light, they're fluffy. They're so delicious. And what I love about scrambled eggs is that they really do, they're a main course, they can be a side dish, they can be a breakfast, brunch, lunch, and I entertain with eggs quite often. I love making scrambled eggs just like this by the big panful. French omelets, of course. I wrote a whole book on French omelets. French omelets for me are the ultimate sophistication for a dinner party. But eggs Provencal is right up there. And you'll see how quickly these come together. I mean, these are so tender. And then...
You have a question when you're ready.
I'm ready for my question.
How long have you been a vegetarian?
I've been a vegetarian almost. The question was, how long have I been a vegetarian? I've been a vegetarian almost 20 years. So right about this point, I'm going to turn off the heat. Then I'm going to add in my cheese. Et voila, just like so. And just kind of gently fold it in. If you guys watch Schitt's Creek, you know fold in the cheese is a running joke. I'm surprised Ryan didn't say anything.
You just fold it in.
And you'll see when you do this at home, you'll see all of the stringiness from the mozzarella is so good. See, these are not dry. Are we giving them a little overhead view?
Sure, let me get your timer.
Give them a little overhead view of these gorgeous eggs. So they're not dry. They're nice and tender. They're cheesy. They're perfect. So now, let me check the apple tart. So I'm just going to peek down here. Oh my goodness. That looks amazing. I think mine is done. So that was about 43 minutes I put it in for. And let me take it out so I can show you guys exactly what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. So let's put this on the back kind of area here. And let's take out... Now, this is why you use a sheet pan. Because it does, yes, see the edges do get browned. But, this little burnt, it's okay. But these are all perfectly cooked apples. That you're not going to taste, so you don't have to worry. And, whoa, this is perfect. Let's get this transferred. I'm going to transfer this right now onto a board with a little piece of parchment paper.
Smells amazing.
Doesn't it smell so good in here?
Would you like me to open the wine?
I would love you to open the wine. So, let's transfer this gorgeous apple and raspberry tart. See, it comes right off, right onto the serving board. And then I like to let these eggs sit for just a few minutes, just like I am now. And we're gonna go start eating dinner with you guys and sit down and cheers you and do all these great things. And then before I serve the apple tart, I'm gonna take about 1/3 of a cup of apricot preserves or jam, and I'm going to thin it with maybe a tablespoon of water and heat it. And then I'm going to glaze this gorgeous tart until it's nice and shiny and gorgeous. But, I mean, which angle are we at here?
You are on.
Look at how gorgeous
Main.
this is. And it smells so amazing. This is what I love about cooking. I mean, you get a pretty professional looking result in a fairly short amount of time. So now we're going to get the salad ready. So I'm going to do this out there, I think, because I'm kind of running out of room. So let's come out here. And let's see. I'm going to
Move those.
put about,
Here, I'll do a little overhead so everybody can see.
yeah, look at what a nice job Ryan did.
So
That's
this is
quite the spread here.
inspired by when Mark and I were first dating, and still today. I mean, this is really our thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as much as we did cook for each other, we also love to go out. But what we really loved is to go to hotels. And so he's giving me the nod to make sure I'm looking at you and not just staring at him. But, you know, making sure that we're experiencing something more than just sitting at a restaurant kind of on a two-top. And so what we would do is we'd sit at the bar, and then we would have the bar set out, you know, and they'll do like this. Here, let me go back to the overhead. They'll do the little, you know, kind of the angled napkins, and then they lay everything out. And it was fabulous. We could sit there next to each other, and it was just the two of us, but we could do fabulous. People watching, it was so much fun. And so even at home,
did have a good time.
Yeah, we like to set up the same way because it's kind of romantic.
So now I'm going to take a little bit of my dressing,
Here, I'll do
and I'm just going to drizzle it over these leaves. You can always add more dressing to a salad, but you can never take it away. So that is perfect, just like that.
fabulous.
Little this. See, this is why I love having this tray, because it's this perfect staging area. And again, that tempered glass bottom really does make all the difference. And then, why don't you go grab that big, beautiful pan of eggs.
Okay.
And this is some Parmigiano Reggiano gorgeous cheese. And I'm just going to shave some big shavings right over the salad.
Ooh, that's hot.
And then because the tray has glass, I don't even need to put the cheese onto a separate plate. I can just put it right onto the glass insert, and then we can serve more of this onto the eggs if you want. That is perfect.
Can you? There we go. Make sure.
Wow.
There we go. Okay.
Hey, that looks, we don't need that. I already have a server for us.
Okay.
You guys, if you're cooking along, we all just made dinner together. So, why don't you get our 2 stools ready? One for me, one for you.
I opened the wine.
You open the wine. I'm going to serve us some beautiful eggs Provencal.
There we go.
And just like this.
My knees are always knocking things. That's the way it goes.
It's because you're 6'4". I'm only 5'7". So notice the setting is really simple too. It's just simple white plates, some silverware, really ordinary glasses, and now this gorgeous salad. So.
Oh, so we have a comment about the oysters. These are actually oyster shells that we used. They was a really sweet gift from our friend Kiara
And Christina.
And they are for salt and pepper. So there are little salt and pepper holders.
Okay, why don't you give me your plate?
Darling.
So.
Fabulous. Look at that.
It's not a bad anniversary dinner, is it? Thank you, darling.
More? Is that good?
Yep, that's plenty.
Okay.
I can smell the eggs. I can smell the apple and raspberry tart. So let's take a little sip of this gorgeous white Burgundy. see if it's as good as we remember. It's delicious.
Yeah, that's
What normally Ryan doesn't love white Burgundies or Chardonnays because they can be a little too oaky. And I think Louis Jadot for us, because you can get it at the grocery store, you can get it at your favorite wine shop. For us, not only is the price point perfect, but it's that smooth, non-overly oaky experience. I think it's only aged 50% or partially fermented, I should say, in oak barrels. So you still get that like slight oakiness, but that really elegant finish, and it's perfect with eggs.
Absolutely.
So let's cheers. Happy anniversary, darling.
Thank you, darling. Happy
And if
anniversary.
you guys are at home watching, happy watching. I hope you guys had so much fun.
Yes.
So now, whether you're eating what we've made together, or you're snacking on some cheese, or you're maybe eating some potato chips, which potato chips would have been a great idea for this. Let's have a conversation, and I hope you guys are sitting down and relaxing. And what questions do you have? What about us, about cooking, entertaining?
We have to take a bite.
Take a bite.
Yeah.
Let's all take a bite of whatever we're eating here. But Gigi is on the ground eating lettuce. Perfect. Thanks, Gigi.
The eternal optimist.
Forever. How are the eggs?
Absolutely stunning. What I love is that the onions and the garlic meld into this other thing and become just that truly, like, I don't know how to describe it other than just French. This is just so French.
Well, and it's a handful of ingredients from the grocery store. And we made, these are the types of things that we say all the time. Why can't I get this at a restaurant? Something really simple, really earthy, and really flavorful. And like the perfect, our friend Pam, she was a VP for a company for a very long time. She was a VP when female VPs weren't a thing. So she had to work extra hard and look extra fabulous all the time, which she still does. And she tells us stories all the time of when she would, travel all around the country. And every morning she would go down to the hotel for breakfast, and she'd have the hotel chafing pan, and she'd open up, and she would have it would be like these little like rabbit pellet, hard, lumpy things of eggs. It's exactly the opposite of my eggs Provencal.
Yeah.
But this is, the other name for these could also be dinner party eggs.
Absolutely.
This is dinner party, like you can make two big bowls of these, or two big pans of these, and have a couple different salads, and maybe a big basket of bread, and lots of Louis Jadot white Burgundy, and and if you don't, and some champagne, and if you don't want to make a dessert, go to your favorite bakery and buy one.
Well, and I think
so
you like to do this, and I certainly do too, when we have dinner parties where somebody, they find out that you're a cookbook author, and there's this whole aura that comes with it, and then
you could serve me French fries.
Well, and that's the thing, is then we have a dinner party and we're serving eggs, and it's like this simplistic but elegant and elevated and delicious. Because that's the thing, is at the end of the day, the flavors in your mouth are just unbelievable.
Gigi is really wanting to join in the party, so let me grab her. Oh my goodness.
Gigi von Pappenheimer.
Gigi von Pappenheimer. Her sister lady is sound asleep.
She's on the couch over there.
Hi. Are you so happy to join the party? Lady is like Ryan. She's like very like low key and chill and like fine to be alone. Gigi is like me, of like, I'm here, and everybody, let's play, and let's do this, and she really wants these eggs Provencal, I can tell.
Yeah,
but she's not going to get
that. That is too much goodness for adults, adults.
We have some questions.
So, just a statement: the combination of eggs and a small salad is so elegant. Totally agree.
Yes.
There was a question as to where is Lady.
Lady's sleeping.
Yeah, she's holding court on the couch. No new questions, so what else?
This is so good. It really is like the perfect dinner.
These are like the best eggs you've ever made.
Oh.
Seriously.
I mean, you do kind of have to say that, but I do believe you.
But I don't.
Oh!
But that's the thing.
That was shady.
It wasn't shady. You, yeah, these are really, really good, honey. Unbelievably.
Cheers. So what is the, we'll keep the conversation going a little bit longer, but then I definitely want to make sure I go glaze the tart before it gets too warm.
Too cold.
Too cold, I should say, yes. But what is the one thing in the past 10 years that, like the one memory, short memory that you think about all the time and still makes you laugh? Oh my God.
That still makes me laugh.
Yes, and not cringe.
Oh, so that rules out any of your singing. I'm sorry, that was too easy. That was too easy.
Rude.
That still makes me laugh. You know, I don't have an actual moment of like you said that thing or there was. We have had laughing fits that have put us on the floor, and we've like gone to bed and woken up the next morning laughing. And that is what comes to mind when you say laughing over the 10 years we've been together. There are various things, and right now, you know, with the pressure on with you asking me the question, I can't think of exactly what they are, but I can think of, you know, a handful of moments that I remember the laughing in the moment.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, where it's just, and probably now that I do think about it, the super epic one was when I surprised you to go to for the Christmas choir. That was probably our worst and most severe laughing fit ever.
Ever.
It was, so Marc, if you don't know this about Marc is Christmas. And so, you know, I took him to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra year before last, and we saw their big holiday celebration. It was fabulous. And he was convinced that I was surprising him with the very same thing this last year. And I wasn't. There was a choir. I should have. And now, in retrospect, I will do more research before. But, you know. So there was a choir performance that seemed to be billed as a Christmas thing, and it was at the church near us. And we thought, oh, how fun. It's near our apartment. Like, the whole thing. And so we were the two goofballs in the furthest back pew in the balcony who could not keep it together.
No.
And we ended up having to leave. We were
so
laughing so hard.
Yes.
It was embarrassing.
We were laughing so hard. My favorite memory, that is actually one of my favorite recent memories of us as a couple. My favorite memory of you that makes me still laugh to this day is when, maybe 3 years ago, we were out at having drinks with our fabulous girlfriends, and we went to the Baton, which is a drag, female impersonation show in Chicago, and fabulous drag show, and iconic, been here for like 51 years as they're celebrating this year. And when the Diana Ross impersonator came over, because of your bald head, and put her big wig on you,
Yes.
I thought that was so fabulous, and still to this day I think it's so fabulous.
That was an amazing moment.
Have we held everybody captive long enough, do we think?
What is the first meal you ever made for me?
A French omelet. The very first thing I ever made for you was a French omelet. Yep. I came over to your apartment. It was like our third date, and I came with my Calphalon.
I was going to say, we still have that
Yes,
pan.
my Calphalon pan and a little basket, literally a basket of ingredients, and I made a French omelet for you. That was the very first thing I made for you. And then I made a 19-pound chocolate cake like 3 days later.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think we've held everybody captive long enough. You're reading things.
I'm sorry. I'm catching up on all of this stuff.
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
I know. Everybody has been so engaged tonight. We thank you so much.
So fun. Yeah, I hope you guys like this. So, moving forward, Together Live is going to be similar programming to like this was tonight. Ryan's not always going to be here. He'll be behind the camera and able to ask questions and things. But, you know, for us, this was really a wonderful kind of time in history. I mean, this video is, we're not having a dinner party with close friends here because of what is happening around the globe with the pandemic and right here at home. So we're so fortunate and so grateful that you decided to spend your Saturday evening with us. Yeah. I mean, that says a lot. Special. I mean, I feel like that's a really nice, wonderful, beautiful thing. So Together Live will be my new virtual cooking class where I will set forth the recipe with the ingredients. They won't always, we will prepare them on camera together. Tonight's a little different because I wanted you guys to have everything already kind of pre-chopped and pre-minced and pre-sliced. But for the most part, it's going to be this really slow-paced, but still lively and fun way of cooking together.
Easy to follow.
And easy to follow, exactly. And my schedule will be posted at marksievers.com next week for 3 new live videos and 1 new cooking together live. And we'll have a lot of fun doing that. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I mean, and, you know, thank you to, you know, I don't always mention brand names because I don't want to always be, you know, having to make you fall in love with the things that I have. So when I do mention something like Tatange or Louis Jadot or Cassandra's Kitchen, it really is genuine, it really is from the heart, and it really is because I think
we use them.
We use them.
Yeah.
And I think that you should give them a try at home because you will see how slight little twists and adjustments in your just wine buying or where you shop online can really make a big difference in just your overall house and just the way you entertain and the ease of entertaining. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please reach out into the comments below. You can also email me at marc@marksievers.com. Please reach out to Cassandra's Kitchen and Tatange and Louis Jadot and let them know if you try their products or their wines or champagnes where you found them, because we'll be able to do more great videos together and exploring products together. If there's something you think I should know that I'm missing out on, please let me know as well. And until next time, happy anniversary, Mr. Sievers.
Happy anniversary, Mr. Sievers.
I love you so much.
I love you so
and
much.
I cannot wait for my new jewelry upgrade.
I cannot wait for the next 10 years of you asking about your jewelry upgrade.
Wait, so does that mean that there's no hidden box anywhere?
You were waiting for that YouTube moment surprise thing
that
happens?
Yeah.
Maybe the next video.
Oh.
Or the one
Can we do it tomorrow?
Or the one after that.
Everybody, happy Saturday. And did you have fun, Ryan?
I had a fabulous time.
And I think Mr. Sievers, for the first time ever cooking on camera, I think you did a fabulous job. I mean, you even arranged flowers.
I did.
Shows anybody can do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you.
Good night, everybody.
We love you all.
Good night, everybody.
I love you.
Bye, guys.